Hello everyone. So, I have here the 1/1000th scale Oberth class, aka the Grissom, but this one isn't the Grissom. This one is actually the U.S.S. Cochrane. And I had already bought and built the Grissom. And interestingly, the Grissom Klingon Bird of Prey 1/1000 scale 2-pack was actually my idea. I had pitched that to Round 2, and they went with it. So that was cool. But yeah, I bought one, and then I found this. Actually, I think I found a couple of them on clearance at Walmart. They were the only two models that were left. You know, Walmart occasionally gets models. Well, these were the only two left, and I bought them. And so I had this extra one. And I thought about doing the battle damaged version from TNG, but I thought, you know, that might be kind of a waste of a kit. So since I have the 23rd century version in the Grissom, I decided to make the 24th century version. And the only differences really are the decals. However, you notice that mine has a little extra part on the bottom here. Yeah. Also has a part in the back there. Yeah, that's for a specific reason. Okay, so this is the U.S.S. Cochrane. This is a screenshot taken from the first episode of DS9, The Emissary. And if you watch the episode, you'll notice that, well, there's this little formation underneath the secondary hull. And it's not a part of Deep Space Nine, since it actually moves with the Cochrane as it's docking. So I thought, well, that might be kind of interesting to replicate. Now, the look of it here is different. What I have here is not like it, as you can see. But you know what? To me, it didn't matter. There was a detail there. I thought, why not replicate it? If I'm going to build it up as a TNG era Oberth class, why not have some fun with it? And it's actually a part that has been shortened. It's from a Space Battleship Yamato kit, and yeah, I get a lot of use out of those. But yeah, it was about twice as long, and I shortened it. And yeah, it looks pretty good. There's the paint around here is a little choppy, because I was, you know, when I painted it, I masked it off and I used tape. So, but yeah. You notice these, like, they're transporter emitters. Those are different. This stripe, the Grissom doesn't have this stripe in the back. I don't think it has these stripes on the top, but I could be wrong. So let's go to the next picture. Okay, this is the U.S.S. Biko from TNG. And you notice back here on the back, there's this. Some little part that was put back there. So I put that same part on, well, something in the ballpark. It's not the same part, but it's just, you know, a ballpark kind of deal. So that's why I added those bits. Also, in this shot on DS9, when the ship is coming down to dock at DS9, when it reaches a certain point, you can see the mounting rod sticking out of the side of the engine. So if you have the episode The Emissary, check it out, and you might be able to see it. And so you see here, this is the version from TNG. I think this is the Pegasus version. You'll notice there's no little part down here. I guess that was something that it just taped on for some reason. It had a light on it. It was lit. So I doubt they, when it was on the previous version, the Cochrane, I doubt it was a mistake. It was an actual part that they affixed to there, and then, because it had a light, you're bringing attention to it. But anyway, it's not the point of my showing you this picture. The point is this right here. That is a docking ring decal from the AMT Refit Enterprise model kit. Because the ship, when it came in and docked at DS9, the docking ring docked right here. Well, they wanted to indicate that, even though you can't see it on screen, they still wanted that attention to detail, which I think is great. So you notice on here, I have one, on both sides. These were actually taken from a set that I had bought, a decal set, aftermarket decal set. So I did get it accurate, as accurate as I could. And of course these were added for the TNG era ship. Yeah. One of the decals did get damaged right here, right where my thumb is. And it just happened because of my carelessness with tape. And these decals on the bottom were very brittle for some reason. They didn't really, they started to kind of self-destruct the more I handled the model. And whatever. So I painted it. I used Tamiya white primer as a base coat, and then put all the decals on, painted all of these panels and everything. And then I did a semi-gloss coat, Tamiya semi-gloss over it, because I wanted kind of that sheen a little bit. I didn't want it to be completely flat and dull like my Grissom was. And I mean, the studio model did, I think, have a dull coat over it, at least certain parts of it. But I didn't want to dull coat the metal areas, metallic areas. And the thing that interests me about this particular design, the registry of the Grissom was NCC 638, which, if they're chronological, which I'm sure many would argue that they're not, but if they are, then that would make the Grissom a rather old design, like pre-Kirk. And although it doesn't really look like it, it's still kind of a fun and interesting thing to consider, I mean, they certainly got their, if it is that old, then they certainly got their use out of it, because it lasted all the way through at least the first 2 TNG movies, because there is one that does fight the Borg in Star Trek First Contact. It was a CG model, so whomever put it there, they intended to put that specific ship there. Of course, we saw it all the time on TNG, and we saw it occasionally on DS9. Another interesting thing about this ship type, the Oberth class, is that they were they would be used as civilian vessels. And sometimes they would just, they would just literally throw the model in front of the camera because the model would have all these Starfleet markings on it, even though it was operated by a civilian crew. But I mean, that they could just be decommissioned Starfleet ships, which actually the United States Navy actually did. They would take their old submarines, because after World War II they had several hundred submarines and no war to put them into, and so they took a lot of them and transferred them eventually to foreign navies. Countries that were too poor to have their own navy. And oftentimes those foreign navies would use those submarines for decades. I think even Taiwan might still have a World War II vintage submarine in use in their fleet. So this stuff can really happen in the real world. I always loved this design. I'm glad they made it 1/1000 scale, but I want a bigger one. I want one that's like, I don't know, a foot and a half. Like 1/350th scale. One of these in 1/350th scale would be cool. I might actually light one if they made one in 1/350th scale. But yeah, I really love this design. It's a neat little ship. Unfortunately, the directions given in the kit, the decal directions, they don't differentiate which markings are for the movie era or the TNG era. So you really have to look at, you have to look at reference. Of course, someone who's really into this stuff can tell the difference between the 24th century, the Picard era Starfleet symbol, and the Kirk era Starfleet symbol. The Picard era has an oval at the beginning of the Picard era, and in the Kirk era it's just a round. It's not an oval, it's just round. So yeah, so there we go. U.S.S. Cochrane.